Robyn LaVassaur. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm really good, Mr. Carl White. How are you?
So, for our listeners, this is the first time we have met.
Yes.
And I was telling you right before we hit the record button, I literally have heard so much about you. I was really looking forward to this, like a kid to Santa Claus. So it's truly an honor to meet you. And I've also heard you're incredibly humble. So one thing I want to ask you while we're doing this podcast episode is I need you to take your humble hat off.
Oh,
Cause one of the reasons why we do this to train. We also
yeah.
do it to inspire.
Mm.
And my suspicion is I'm going to get a fair amount of that if we can get you to take your humble hat off. Fair enough?
Okay.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah.
that's a deal, sir.
Yeah. And Tom Brady, I think, was famous for saying it ain't bragging if it's true.
Mm.
So
I
I like,
like that. I like
yeah,
that statement actually a whole bunch.
yeah, yeah. Where do you live?
Eugene, Oregon. So
What a
go
beautiful.
Ducks.
Are you native?
Um, what was that?
Are you native to there?
I'm actually native to Klamath Falls, Oregon, which is about 3 hours away. And then when I met my husband, Klamath is pretty small. He said it's either Eugene or the Bay Area, which is kind of where he was from, born and raised. And
And so you're
I,
in
being a
Eugene.
small town Oregon girl, I was like, Eugene it is. So
Okay, very good. Yeah, I got a dear friend of mine that lives up in Bend, Oregon.
my daughter lives there.
Yeah.
Beautiful country.
I
Yeah.
I love it. So we were in the Air Force together, and we reconnected through Facebook uh,
Yeah.
some years ago, and went to go see him. So I'm down here in the Tampa Bay area. So as far as distance wise, unless one of us was in Alaska, we probably couldn't be any further apart.
No, we probably
So,
I've made it out there a couple times to see my dear friend Jane Floyd. So
oh
uh
yeah, very nice.
she's out that way. Yeah. So she's an incredible human.
So bring me up to speed a little bit, and I literally don't know all the answers to these.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
Yeah.
so are so branch manager, loan officer, broker, banker. How long we been doing it? So give me like a little
Yeah, let me
bit.
let me
Who are you?
I'll give you a brief rundown. So got in the business in 97.
Okay.
Kind of a funny story, Carl. I was 19 years old.
Okay.
What I thought to be in love with my now husband, who I've been with for 28 plus years.
Good for
And
you. Good
I
for
had
you.
about 200 bucks in my pocket and moved to Eugene, Oregon. My mom and dad thought they'd see me in a couple weeks, and my uh, significant other knew that I needed a job. And so he said, I plan on going back to school, but he had found a guy that owned a temp agency, and he called and he said, hey, report to 1600 Oak Street, have her report there. They need a receptionist for a couple weeks. And so I did. And I answered the phone all day saying Precision Funding, which was a mortgage broker at the time, and it had a female leader who was in her 30s. And these are the days where there's two pagers on her hip and a heavy car phone, and her license plate said pre for pre-approval on her little gold Honda Accord. And so I'm answering the phone, and for some reason, and this is clients are lining up because rates are in the high sevens and they had not been low for a lot of years. And so they're lining up to refinance. I soon found out. And that leader really just poured into me over a couple years, sent me to processing school, which used to be a thing. And, I got to input applications. She paid me $10 an application to key into Calyx Point. And so I needed the money. So I keyed from 5 in the morning, sometimes to 8 o'clock at night. I'm not joking. It
Wow.
was, and
Wow.
answered the phones and copied packages. And I knew day one there was something about mortgage I wanted to be part of. And so I told my mom and dad, forget going back to school. I'm going to be in mortgage. My mom and dad were like, my goodness, Robyn. I'm their youngest and their last. So I think nothing surprised them at the time. And so fast forward, I got my originator's license in 2004. That was
Okay.
when at that point, I had a 2 year old, actually was four at this point, and then I had 2 year old triplets.
Wow. You've had
So
you
a
you
4
have
year old.
triplets?
I have triplets, yes. So
Wow.
we were 24 and 26 years old when we got pregnant with our second, and they told us at almost basically 3 months in, just over 3 months in, that there was three by fluke. Kind of crazy. Um,
Wow.
so can you imagine that?
No, so as we're speaking, I'm actually up here in High Point, North Carolina. We got a little place up here, and my son and my daughter-in-law and my grandson, who's
Mm.
6 months old, is here. And so we've been real involved with, I'm blessed that they live in Florida. They live behind it, like the house next to ours. We got a guest house on the property. They stay over there. Anyway, so we've been very involved with this baby,
Yeah, yeah.
and I forgot how hard it is. And I
It's a
was
lot of work.
just saying this morning, can you imagine two at the same time? But you did three at the same time.
Three with a toddler. I sure
Um,
did. So they say God doesn't give you what you can't handle. And so my husband kind of pushed me off the cliff in 2004 and was like, you do everything for the loan officers anyways. And I was so grateful for loan officers that wanted to kind of take notes on a napkin and hand it over because it
mhm,
taught me the ropes at a really high level. I worked for top producers, so I got to touch a lot of loans for a lot of years. I jumped in 2004, end of 2004, originated for 6 years on what I would call the mortgage roller coaster.
yeah.
But I'm not college educated. I'm from a small town and I was a young mom. My husband and I were young when we met. And I really, Carl, honestly, I hit $100,000 W-2. And, Ed Milet says you get your temperature gauge set, if you will. And breaking six figures, not college educated as a young female, I just thought like, and I'll never trivialize that amount of money. It's an incredible amount of money to make, especially for the 20 hours of testing that we have to do, right? Like you think about other fields to break six figures, and it's just such a gift what our industry can do for you. And so fast forward, I did those 6 years and nothing terrible, but I had no concept about things that were out there, whether it's coaching programs or, you're just kind of in your bubble doing your thing. And brokering got real hard after the crash of the world economy. And they didn't do a great job of figuring out all the new Dodd-Frank and everything else. And so I made a transition to private mortgage banking. And there was a few in town that I looked at, happened to hop into Summit Funding because Todd happened to be in town the night after I had interviewed here. And so I wasn't actually really keen. It's kind of laughable at the time on the managers that interviewed me. And so I really thought I would go to this other spot. But they said, the owner's in town. Would you mind having dinner with him? And so I went and had dinner with Todd Screama, and that dinner changed my life. Todd has this beautiful ability, like I'm sure you do. I think really, really incredible mentors and coaches can see things in people they can't see in themselves.
Mhm.
And Todd looked at me and he said, Robyn, I really feel like you could do so much more. And the thing is, and this was a big one, probably one of my first big takeaways was I really believed the only way to do more was more of me, more time. And
Mhm.
with four young children at home, and right in the midst of that, we had taken on my husband's nephew and adopted him. And so he was 14. So now I have a teenager and,
My God.
toddlers roam, or excuse me, at this point, we're a little bit further down. It's 2010. So the kids are a little bit older. And we have a 14-year-old. So it's crazy at our house. And I thought, I don't have any more time to give. My husband worked full time. There's no way I can do quote unquote more. And and Todd said, let me teach you, let me
Mm.
show you a different way. And so I joined Summit. And really for me, I was a sports player growing up, and it's interesting. We always have coaches or mentors, if you will, if you're lucky enough when you're in your youth. And it's like the switch gets flipped where we become adults and everybody kind of goes, okay, you should have this whole thing figured out. And man, I'm so glad to see the push these days and information at our fingertips because now people recognize like, hey, I need advisement, right? Like I could use help, I could use mentors in all these areas of my life, not just in business. And so that was just opening a whole new door. I felt like John and I had been
Mhm.
doing well. We loved each other, we loved the kids, everyone was healthy. But man, there was just getting some mentorship around our finances, around business, around all these different things. It just blew my doors off instantly. So yeah, bring me fast forwarding. I started to take my production, so I'll abbreviate this back out and then we can get back to questions. So my best year ever coming into Summit was about 52 units. So I wasn't doing terrible. But as I started to really develop skills and a path and accountability and all of the things that come with it, my last full year of production, this definitely was in the COVID year, so was 2020, and I did 681 personal units. Um,
Six, 681.
681 personal units.
That's
I did 83 loans in 1 month.
that's
Um,
severely impressive.
It's
And by the way, you beat me. My best month was 72.
oh,
So you did
I love that.
so you did 83.
I did 83 in
I'm
July of
impressed.
2020. Yeah.
I'm duly impressed. Good for you, my
Ye-
friend.
Thank you. You know, what was crazy about it, Carl, was that after a few weeks, I was really out of whack on my schedule, kind of working all hours, COVID. So you were sitting at home for part of it,
Hmm.
but, I was keying all night long, messaging people about refinancing. And then I got my hours back under control. And so I finished that year still averaging about 45, 50 hours a week. Um, and it was just incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. Prior to COVID, I was doing about 400 units a year, consistently at kind of my
Yeah.
peak. And then COVID, obviously kicked it up a notch. I was on track in 21 to beat that record, and sat with Todd and a lot of our branch managers. And I'm the only female in the room. And I say that just for context. I'm sitting in Todd's living room with about 15 of his branch managers and leaders. And again, the only gal there. And Todd says, I'm going to need help in the sales side. I need a right hand on the sales side of this. And he's telling us he might promote somebody, and he's telling us he might hire, and he's given us some names. And I kind of keep my head down and stay laser focused. And so I don't really recognize anything, but a lot of the guys in the room were like, no, never follow them. And kudos to Todd for being an owner that was willing to have that conversation with everybody. And so we're sitting there, and, this was post him separating from the core. So things were a little tumultuous and trying to figure out where things were at. And fast forward, one of the guys says, well, why don't you have Robyn be EVP?
Mm.
And Todd says, Robyn? And I'm thinking, me? Like, what are you talking about? And Todd said, you guys, she's our top producer, one or two at all
Yeah.
times. And he said, and she's a branch manager. And Robyn, do you want to be an executive? And I said, I have to be frank with you, Todd. I don't even know what an executive does.
Hmm.
Like, not the slightest idea. And so Todd said, why don't you stay? And so everybody took off that night, and I stayed one more day, and I sat down with Todd, and I said, I'm not interested in sitting in meetings all day. And I
Hmm.
said, and this is a lot sooner than I would have ever expected. I've always thought I would take on a role of some sort future, because I absolutely fell in love with coaching and leading. And he said, I said, if this means I get to pay my journey forward and God's timing is now, then I'm willing to give it a shot.
Hmm.
Um, but not to sit in meetings, And so I still to this day, my conditions where I get to remain a loan officer until my team's ready to take over. I
Hmm.
get to remain a branch manager until I can grow leadership to take over, and then I'll do the job. And if you ever think I'm not doing a good job, there's no ego involved. I'll step back, and I
Hmm.
love originating and I love branch managing. So no harm, no foul, if you will. But we'll give this a go. And my other thing was Todd's best friend in the industry, and just a great human being. I looked at him and said, hey, do you want this? Because he'd been with the company for a very long time. And he said, no, thank you. He said, I'd like to lead the coaching part. And he said, I don't want to be an executive. And so I teased that he tricked me. But so yeah, so Todd graciously, I'm the only executive that doesn't live in Sacramento, and I'm up here in Eugene, and I work remote, and I still branch manage. My team became ready about 6 months in and took over, and what a gift that's been. Three gals that just absolutely crushed it, taking over my business, and then the rest is kind of history. I still am a branch manager. The branch isn't ready yet. It will be one day. We've got some great leadership coming up underneath us, and we'll
Hmm.
hand the reins over gladly to make space. And I get to lead sales for the country.
Impressive. So I saw a fantastic story, by the way.
Thank you.
I love some of my favorite stories. In fact, I'd say all of my favorite stories is what you just described, what I call small town girl or boy.
Hmm.
Small town girl makes good.
Mm,
And boy, what a inspiring story. Here I am, like 20, 21 when you had triplets.
yeah. I was 20. I just turned 24. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, at 24, I was still trying to find out where the door was,
Uh,
So my hat's off to you. That's impressive.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I saw a thing that you posted the other day, and I'm going to read it here,
Yeah.
and you give me a little clarification on it. 191. you say families, and so I'm going to say it
Yeah.
so make sure everybody
Mhm.
understands.
Yeah.
191 closings
Yeah.
for the month of October.
For the month of October out of our branch.
191 in your branch.
Hmm.
That's impressive too.
Yeah.
Very impressive. And I usually focus more on units than
Yeah.
volume because if
I am
somebody's
too.
yeah, if
Yep.
somebody's in San Diego, they can be 3 million with
100%.
one,
Yeah.
yeah, with a
Yeah.
closing, which is fine, but
Yeah.
191. But just to complete it, it was 62 million, so excellent. So tell me a little. Oh, and you have another thing here that just blew me away. And you were gracious and telling giving kudos to people. But one thing in this post, you said we average over six units per loan officer.
Hmm.
That is high, and you know
Hmm.
it, right? That's really
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
high. So
Yeah.
let's break some of this down a little bit.
Yeah.
So on your branch, where are most of these loan officers located? Like what's our area that we're talking about here?
Yep. So we've got a few up in Washington and different parts of Washington. We've got a bulk here at, I would say a good chunk in Eugene, Oregon. We've got Bend, Oregon. We've got Klamath Falls, Oregon. We've got a Medford. We have a Westland. So we're a little spread out throughout Oregon. We've got a California group. We've got one in Denver. And am I hitting everybody? I think I'm hitting everybody. So
Okay.
California, Oregon, Washington, right on the border of Washington, so Idaho a little bit, and then
Yeah.
Colorado. Yeah.
All right. Very interesting.
I should say New Mexico as well. We just added a New Mexico in the last 60 days. So yeah.
Good for you. So averaging 6 units each.
And that was that month, Carl. That was that month. When you take, 28 loan officers divided by that number.
No, I get
Um,
it. I get it.
that was that
But
month, but so
well,
proud of that number because it's
yeah.
incredibly hard to do. And we have a couple really top producers, but I mean, the truth is this year out of 28, I think 13 or 14, we've got a couple right on the bubble, will make our leaders club, our peak performers, which is 80 units or 25 million. So when you think half of your crew makes peak performers, it just, I mean, honestly, it gives me goosebumps to
Yeah,
think
that's
about it. In this market, what each one of them are doing. And what's really cool is many of them have only known the business even post COVID. A few of them have been in for less than 5 years, 4 years. And so, yeah, we're a highly accountable, very engaged group. And I always tell people like, don't sign up to be part of us directly if you aren't interested in growing. And that doesn't always mean I've got to do 10 units to belong. It
right, right.
means growth mindset, coachability. Um, we're really not built for someone who's wanting to do just a loan here and there and not be
Yeah.
present or wants to terrorize, and be a loan officer that doesn't want to get better at their craft. That's really not our MO. But anybody who wants to grow and be in a true partnership, like we have a beautiful setup and we've worked really hard to create it.
Well, you for sure got it dialed in. So what would you say like when I'm thinking an average, and I just want to clarify, so it's not like October was a lucky month. So my suspicion is your numbers throughout the year. You didn't just have like our average was one a month, and then October we got
No,
six a month.
no, it wasn't a fluke. I mean, we average generally we're 150 to 170. So it was a better month. Obviously, rates took a bit of a dip, So there was some things that played into there. But our goal is, at the company, we talk about an average of 10 units and how special of a company it would be if you could help your originators average 10 units. That's
Yeah.
life changing,
Oh, for
family
sure.
changing, legacy changing, right? Like,
And let me tell you, five a
yeah,
month, five a month
5 a month can do it.
is life changing for it
100%.
certainly was for me when I first got started.
You bet.
It was it
You
was
bet.
it was life changing. Yeah. And I just want to, just you said, well, sometimes we dip down to 150. All right, well, 150 units for a month for a
Yeah.
branch, for
Yeah.
that to be a dip, it's impressive, right? It's
Thank
impressive.
you.
You're just
Thank
very
you.
humble.
We're
So
really, really proud of the numbers. Yeah.
yeah, well, you should be proud of those numbers. So how do you do it? Like
Yeah.
what are the what how do most of these loan officers how are they, most of them bringing in their loans? And I get it. We always have some outliers, but
Yeah,
how do
yeah.
most of them bring in?
Actually, ours are generally the same, every single one of them. What I mean by that is that we really are a belly to belly sales. We really are a community. We do very well in small communities with high relationship, high touch, where people are able to be engaged, if you will, in not just the real estate community, but in community in general. I think that makes a big difference. And so, highly active, highly visible in that regard. You obviously have to have incredible operations in order for people to produce more units, right? You've got to be able to say to an originator, I've got it, go get the next deal. So, one of the things we focus on heavily here is you focus on tomorrow's money. That's what I tell all the loan officers. We'll take care of today's. And I think where we get lost and where I got lost for many, many years was the moment you got some, you stopped chasing at tomorrow at all. And it's really hard to get ahead when you're constantly taking care of what happened yesterday, right? And trying to clean it up, if you will, and only in today. And so that's probably one of our biggest keys. And we measure simply. I've really learned as a leader to think about the outcome first and work your way backwards about what matters so that you're not micromanaging, you're not and so on our back end, like, we measure on two things. Are we going to make that closing date, yes or no? And or are we in jeopardy, if you will, or are we in jeopardy of not getting a 5-star survey? And it's that simple on our back end. Now, we've got lots of systems and processes and communication checkpoints. The biggest thing that everyone knows they're measured by is, did we end up with a 5-star survey? Because we get so caught up, Carl, right? Loan officers get so caught up in, like, the client doesn't understand their cash to close, so I should stop my whole day and get frustrated about why the CD went out wrong, or why, you know what I mean? Why there's this, and we have to correct it. And now the agents called me and the clients called me, and I'm flustered. Therefore, I didn't sell for the rest of my 6 hours, right? Like, that's a common theme that I see in origination. And it's so hard when you've got 100% commission sales in loan officers, 100% commission sales in realtors. Everything can feel like it's life or death. And one of the things that I say is, nobody dies in lending. Take a deep breath. If we set proper expectations with our clients and our agents, and we truly become the controller, if you will, like I always tell them, I want you guys to be in the tower, guiding the airplanes, right? Like, you call the
Mhm.
shots at the end of the day. And when you can be that person for all parties at all things, your reputation will start to compound, right? As somebody that people say, hey, and that's what I did. I built my business, taking the humble hat off. I really started to build in my business something that somebody would call me and say, what do you think? And I set the precedence of how many days to close on everything. It just, and once I took back control of what I already had to perform for, everything got better in business. And I think that's a big thing that we don't do, because we think catering, if you will, sales, right, is caving.
Mm.
Meaning, if the realtor says, can I have it in 16 days? With sometimes that's necessary. Most of the time, there's no good reason, Carl. And we put on our hero cape and we're like,
Mhm.
we'll try, And it's like, why? Why would you
Mhm.
ever do that to clients, to escrow, to appraisers, it's extra money, it's extra stress, it's extra perfection, it's all of these things that's like, it's just not that realistic to do. And yet you wanted to be a hero, and so fastly you can become a zero because
Right.
you weren't able to stand up and say, and I started calling agents, and I would say, hey, what's the reason behind this? And then I'd say, can I challenge you for a minute? You're going to need a rush inspection. You're going to need a rush appraisal. You're going to need, everything has to go perfectly to hit this date. If you just added 5 days to this thing, all of us, the borrowers long term would say that was, even in a hard process, hard, but smooth, if you will.
Mhm.
Frustrating and annoying, yes, always loans, but smooth, right? Like what I expected. Instead of you have 24 hours to get me this, you're at work, I need you to drop everything and sign this. And so I think that's a big thing. We do a lot of coaching around expectation setting with our loan officers and learning to control the process, which then helps, right, the entire outcome across the board.
Wow, control the process. Boy, that's a great topic. Control. I'm gonna write that down. I like that. Control the process. That makes perfect sense because then, what happens is exactly what you were saying a few minutes ago. When we get those rush files, we have to stop everything else. And now we're working on, what you call today's money instead
Mhm.
of focusing in on, or when we're going to get the next deal. Well, I don't have time to go get the next one because I'm too busy trying to make this happen. And it's not that
Mhm.
we can't make it happen in 16 days or 14
No,
days, right? We all have those
yeah,
stories of, hey, I did it in 8 days or whatever the minimum you can do. We
yeah.
all have those stories, but it the effort and energy and investment of our
Mhm.
time at what cost is that we're losing the other five that we didn't get because we weren't out prospecting because we're too busy
Correct.
babysitting and we
Correct.
end up with the loan officer. I call the loan officer roller coaster, up a month and down a month.
Same.
Hey, so let me ask you, so
Yeah.
I always try to put myself in the listener's mind, like what are they thinking when I'm speaking with somebody like
Yeah.
you, and I know what they're asking. They're saying, what is the activity that your loan officers do to bring in such high numbers? Because it's
Yeah.
not, you're not running a typical office there, and my suspicion is you don't have, and maybe they were when they joined you, but they're not typical today.
Yeah.
So you don't have typical people working for you. So these loan officers, what are they doing to generate the leads to have the amount of
Mhm.
closings that you guys have? How do you generate the leads?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's influence and people don't love to hear it, but the truth is, it is picking up the phone and
Mhm.
then seeing people face to face are the two main things. And I break this down, Carl, just to kind of help people. I spent a lot of years trying to break through 25 units, and for some reason, that was an evasive number for me, and I couldn't quite hit it no matter how hard I pushed, and I even have some embarrassing stories about how hard I pushed because I wanted to break through 25 for a long time. I say that because one day it dawned on me that I was so focused on the end
Mhm.
that that was my problem. And so if you're a loan officer out there, if you're a leader out there, the first thing is to understand what creates your finish, right? And so working your way backwards. So I knew, hey, I wanted to hit 25. Well, this was a math equation, and I'll give it to you in a breakdown.
Okay.
Everything is based on leads, right? It's sales math. And depending on where you're at in your career, you might need a few more leads to create the outcome. You might need a few less leads, meaning your conversion is higher. The number of leads that you get every single month consistently, and I call consistent 90 straight days of not missing to start to create predictable outcomes. And we're so short term, right? We do something, we try it for a week or a day, we try it for
Mhm.
maybe 2 weeks, and then if we don't see the exact result, we fall out of love with that process, right? With the journey. And so one of the things that we do with every single LO is we sit down and we make a plan solely based on leads. Um,
Mhm.
and I know what number they want to hit, and I don't let people. I try not to allow, if you will, not that I'm a dictator, setting a crazy number. Of course, people want to close 10, but if your best months ever were 3 and 5, I've got to get you to a consistent 5 to then build you to 7 to then build you to 10. And we get so angst about like, I just want a 10. No, you want consistent 10s. Consistent 10 means consistent 5, where your bad month starts to become a 3 or a 5. And then your bad month starts to become a 5 or a 7. And your great month starts to become a 10, right? And then pretty soon and so your business will compound if you can if you can keep yourself in check, if you will, emotionally and get off a bit of that roller coaster. Like I like to think of it as a train ride, and a
Mhm.
train stays really steady. You're not doing loop-de-loops on a train, right? And I
Mhm.
always say a train is the freest on the track. And so when you're on that track, so we back into leads. So if really basic number, if you've got overall good conversion skills, and you're getting true warm leads, not Zillow leads, not paid for leads, not internet anything, true leads. And you can have those leads. You just need to track them separately because they're not real leads until you can
Yeah.
really have a live conversation with the warm body, if you will. And so,
Yeah.
and those are right, a lot of those do not convert that way. And so when you can get enough leads, and this is the math formula, 25 is the typical. In markets like this, I call it 30 because just harder to qualify. So 30 warm leads
Okay.
every single month
Okay.
without fail with 80% credit pull. So basically 80% actually app.
Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free, cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think or tell me what you'd like to hear next.
If
Okay.
you do that for 90 days without fail on both metrics, and this is
Okay.
where people get lost. A lot of people go, well, I get 25, 30 leads. Tell me your credit pull ratio. Nobody knows, which is
Mm,
bananas to me. And so I'm like, go track these things for 90 days. You will start to close 5 loans a month. You might do four and then six and then, right? Like, but you're going to average over the next 90 days, 5 units. I guarantee it.
mm,
Do the same thing compounding. So I know when I was hitting 25, I hit 100 leads every month without fail with an 80% credit pull ratio. I never got above 87% credit ratio. I could surpass my lead. And the rules of the game are that you can't move your lead goal until you've achieved both results for 90 straight days and they're easily achieved all of a sudden. You're blowing past it, right? I'm getting 37 leads every month instead of that 30, and I'm easily pulling 80% credit. Now all of a sudden you can move the dial if you want to. And but we really we struggle ourselves with having a consistent plan that we can execute on. Now, how you go get those leads? You pick up the phone, you make phone calls, you talk to your past clients, you attend a couple, local events that have face to face and belly to belly. And if your lead generation, you always have one of two problems every day in your life. You either have a lead problem or you have a conversion problem. It's really that simple. So I have my loan officers look down and say, how many leads do I need today? Today. And if you lose more than 2 days in a row, you've got to stay extra. You've got to show up an hour early. You've got to stay an hour late. You have to turn the jets on. The problem is we get to the 24th of the month with the holiday weekend coming up, and people are like, leads have been really quiet. Huh? You should have known that the Wednesday of the first week of the month and turned the jets on because your activity every day should look down and say, my only job is to hit these two metrics as a loan officer. That's my only job. And that's what really changed my entire trajectory, Carl, was that simple. Yes, there's a lot of things you have to do in between, right? But if your leads are down, you pick up the phone and call a few more people. If your leads are down, you sift through all of your unconverted leads if you have to. You get a few videos out, right? Like you start to lead generate. Conversion is down, if your conversion is down, you call every lead that hasn't apped yet. You check back in with all of your agents, right? Conversion simply comes down to how you were referred, which is if you were referred strong, then you
right.
better conversion, right? And the other thing is follow up. Those are the only two things that go into
Mm,
conversion. And once I could simplify, I'm a highly emotional human being. I'm scattered. I have 5 kids. I've got, marriage. I have all these things. When I could just laser focus on those activities, and I would tell my team, because I was able to hire a team by the time you're closing that much, my job is this, and I won't fail you. I need you to not fail me on the other parts, right? Taking care of today's money while I go get tomorrow's. And that, I mean, really is, and that's what I try to teach all of our LOs is keep it that simple. So they'll call me about, I'll go, tell me how many leads do you have for the month? I always am like interrupting them, but and I know they're like, mom, knock it off, type of thing. But that's
mm,
really, I know that at the root of it, it solves everything.
mm. Golly. Some really good stuff here. So in your world, 30 30 leads equals five closings.
Yep. It
All right.
was 25 previously, but you're exactly with 80% credit pull. So they have to app. They
Yeah.
have to, 80% have to app, period.
So listeners of the podcast know that I keep repeating a number over and over, and I can't believe you just gave the exact number, which I just did the math here real quick. When I was looking away from the camera,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
listening and I'm punching in my calculator real quick. That's 16%.
Mhm.
So that 16% number is a freak in the mortgage world. It keeps popping up all over the place, just like
Mhm.
pi does in
Mhm.
mathematics, 3.14. It's like in all these
Yeah.
formulas, you go, where in the heck is this pi coming from?
Yes.
The mathematical number pi. And that 16% just pops up. So that's also my ratio of 16% of realtor partners that I meet with, or let me reword that. 16% of top producing agents that I meet with, 16% of them end up referring to me. So
Mhm.
if I want 16 solid referral partners, I need to meet with 100. I meet with 100, I'll get six, and that number just pops up all the time. And that your conversion rate is 16%, just kind of, it's very interesting. So really, you know what, and it's funny that you say 30 leads. When I first got in the business, just a wonderful man hired me. I didn't know anything, like literally nothing. And
Mhm.
like literally 30 days before, I didn't know what a mortgage broker did. I'd never even heard of
Same.
the thing, right? Yeah, didn't know. And so I started, and this wonderful man, his name Dave Hoyt, he said, Carl, you need to take one app a day. You need one app a day. You take one app a day. Well, I didn't know that was hard, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
Sounds so
thought,
easy.
yeah, I thought, okay, that's what you do. All right, cool. He said, yeah, and so you make these kinds of phone calls, say these kinds of things until you take one app a day, and you don't go home until you take one app a day.
Mhm.
Okay, I can do that. So I can start at 9. So how hard can
Yeah.
that be? And
I'm up at
not,
2.
well, and not knowing any difference, that's what I did. Like in the very beginning, I just like whatever I had to do to make it happen. Because that
Mhm.
in my world,
It was so simple.
it was a normal expectation.
Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't know otherwise. And I remember some nights, not often, but I remember some nights it'd be like 7 o'clock at night. I still don't have my app. And
Mhm.
I'm sitting there banging the phones going, oh my God, I
Yeah.
got to stop calling here in about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And
People
I
are
don't have
going,
an app and I got to get an
yeah.
app. So very interesting.
But that focused, right? That intense, that unwilling. I tease RLOs and all of the people all the time. I'm like, if you worked at Costco, they'd fire you a long time ago. Like it just,
Yeah.
because if they go stock the produce and you're like, I don't really feel like it. I'm hanging out over here in the snack aisle, right? Like
Yeah.
I felt like being a checker today. I got to run
Yeah.
get my kid this afternoon. It just like
Yeah.
it's
I
like
got a TikTok video to do. Come on. Let's just,
And so I'm just like, your job is just to go get the leads every single
yeah.
day, and the rest takes care of itself. When you get so focused on the end result, you can't follow the process, right? You're not committed to the process. People would ask me how many loans I was closing, and I would go, I don't know. But I have 72 leads this month, and I need 18 or whatever the number was, right? Like to go. And I
Mhm.
mean, I just was so clear every day on leads and conversion. I let go. I trusted the outcome would come. And that is a hard thing to do. It's easier with money in the bank, if I'm being honest, Carl. But it was to this day, any loan officer that can take on that mindset and every day think, where are my leads? Where is my conversion? But doesn't mean you don't work on loan files, doesn't mean you don't focus on making sure you fix a problem of variable income, or yes, all the other things apply, but they can't circumvent or supersede. They cannot erase the need for leads and conversion every single day.
Mm. So I love your message of what most of the loan officers that work with you do, or it sounds like all, what they
Trying,
do.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, what they do is they know that if I want to make sales, that I've got to act like a salesperson and do what
Right.
salespeople do, which
Correct.
is having conversations with people.
Mhm.
And it's and doing a TikTok video likely isn't part of that day for the high
That's a
performers. For the struggle
that's
bunnies, but not.
Yeah, it's those things are icing on the cake. You add those things when all the other stuff on the engine are going great, right?
Mhm.
You don't turn your train into a Christmas Polar Express till you can safely get from point A to point B, right? You can't add extra fluff and hope that that will solve other problems, right? Like and it's something. Sales was a hard word for me, Carl, for the longest time. And I'll just say this really quick. I call it the set, if you will. And I think income directly ties to it. One is loan knowledge, two is sales skills, and three is leadership. You don't have to have all three, but your income will reflect what you have and where you sit at each level.
Mm,
And a lot of people came out of COVID with great loan knowledge and very little sales skills. And that didn't bode well. So they see a newbie come in and all of a sudden they're passing them by. Well, they've got sales skills. And so they've superseded because better known beats better. And when somebody first told me you're a salesperson, I thought, no, I'm not. Don't say it, and so in my head to this day, every day of my life, I converted the word sales into serve. And so
mm,
I call it serving skills. And every single day I wake up and I say, how many people and who do I get to serve today?
mm,
And I think that erased my phone phobia. It erased my get out there and see people because don't we all say we get in the business because we want to help people, right? Don't we all say that and yes, the paychecks and all those things, but the truth is we all say that. And then, I needed to convert sales and get an ugly definition out of my mind and convert it into something that said, yes, I want to do this every day and I'm actually going to have fun with it and know that I'm good at it and it's okay to be great at it, right? Like that was a
mhm.
big deal.
Wow. Boy, so much good stuff here. I mean, there's all these little bunny trails that I want to go down, but I know at the time
Yeah, I know
we're
we're in
definitely
time.
going to do this again if you're willing
Would
to.
love to. Would
This is
love to.
fascinating. So I love what you say about loan knowledge, sales skills, and leadership. I think so many people focus on loan knowledge in the beginning,
Mhm.
and that is the kiss of death. And I'm not saying that we don't need to know about loans,
100%.
but I am saying I probably knew less about loans than anybody in my original office, and I was the number one salesperson. And sometimes they would, in a pleasant way, they would voice their frustration
Of
that
course.
I was on the leadership board, and I'd hear them say things,
He doesn't
not
even know what
mean,
he's
but
doing.
yeah, it's like, yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing, and I know so much more than him, and it's not fair.
Yes.
And all that was true, but I
Mhm.
still went home with a bigger paycheck and I helped more
Correct.
people because I learned, like in my case, my loan knowledge was low. But Diane in my office, who you met a few minutes ago when we
Yeah,
first signed up,
yeah.
yeah, her loan knowledge was high,
Hmm.
and I never got the loan knowledge that she did, and we worked as a partnership, right? And
Hmm.
still to today. And that, so I'm not discounting loan knowledge, but
Nope.
loan knowledge will come somewhat passively
Yes.
because I learned a little bit of loan knowledge with each closing.
Each deal, you've got
Yeah,
to
each
touch it.
deal. But I put 80% of my focus on sales skills and about
Hmm.
20% on loan knowledge. And that has really served me well. And it's nice to hear somebody like you validate that. May I
100%.
might have, and we didn't do that by design. It was like I'm going to learn it, but she'd say, "Carl, we need closings because we each needed a paycheck.
Yes.
You go out and get
Yes.
some people to shake their head, yes. I'll figure out
Yes.
a way to make it close." And you know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes they didn't, and
Yes.
sometimes I got a little egg on my face, but
And you're going to, right? Like I had a loan officer the other day that had a pretty painful lesson. And she
yeah.
said, the realtors are just being so harsh about it. And I said, good. And she says, what? And I said, hear me. The worse the pain, the less likely it is to repeat. So
Mm,
thank them for being
mm,
so passionate. Thank them
mm,
for, being hard on you because that's
mm,
what will make you so much better in this industry when you can
mm,
do that. And they will be shocked that you're thanking them, right? They will be
mm.
shocked that you say, "Thanks for being so passionate about this. Thanks for being so hard on me." Now, appropriately, right? You're not wanting to get cussed at, screamed at. I don't believe in
Sure.
those kind of things, but
Right.
appropriately, they were mad. She made a rookie mistake and she's, and I said, you can't beat yourself up. Everybody makes surgeons make rookie mistakes and they have people's lives in their hand, right?
Mm,
Like
mm,
very different. But the harder, the more pain, right? Like the better you get, right? Like it's you get scared at maybe getting in a fender bender, you drive a little more carefully for a few days,
Hmm,
right? Like
hmm, hmm,
it's that's how our brains work, and we
hmm,
learn unfortunately through hard lessons. And so everybody that's like, let me figure out how to make this whole thing perfect, easy, good for everyone, not have complaints, not have high emotions, I'm like, not going to happen. Instead, let me welcome the problems as opportunities. Let me learn my lessons as fast as I can. Let me get as many no's as it takes to get a 16% yes, right? Like,
hmm,
and when you start to approach that way, your mind doesn't dread things, right?
hmm,
Like
hmm.
it drives things, right? You move forward.
Wow. Hey, one last question.
Yeah.
Maybe one last question. So, no promises there, but one last question. So, I mean, there's really a lot of great stuff here. You said something at the very beginning, and I wrote myself a little note. One of the things you said was you have to hold. And by the way, you, my friend, have a PhD in what you do.
Thank you.
So, oh, you do. You're a very, very, very bright lady.
Thank you.
Uh, you're a master of your trade. I can see that. So we just met 35 minutes ago or 40 minutes ago. You're a master of this. Like it's
Thank you.
you're very highly skilled, and you definitely have a PhD.
Thank you.
Um, you just earned money in the process of getting your PhD.
You are
So
correct.
yeah, so good for
What a
you.
beautiful gift, right?
Oh, wonderful. So, but you said something. You said, uh, "Hey, if you work here, we have a high level of accountability here."
Mhm. Yes.
What does accountability look like for you? Like, what does that
Yeah.
look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's not yelling and screaming, I can tell you that, but it is saying, one of the things that I talk to all the loan officers about consistently is what you can technically control. And even to our staff, and probably everybody wants to roll their eyes a little bit at Robyn, but I'm constantly, and my mom gave me this gift. And my mom, my entire life, Carl, I would, you'd come home and you'd have a complaint, this girl's being mean or this happened
Mhm.
today. And my mom looked at me every single time and would say, "And what did you do? What
Mhm.
part did you play?" Well, and I would fight back, and
No fair.
the other moms would be calling the school, and the teachers would be involved in the principal, and my mom would
Mm.
never do it. She'd never call. She'd never place a complaint. She'd never call
Mm.
another mom. She'd always just look at me and say, "What did you do?"
Mm.
And at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I don't think I thought that was all that funny. And now I look back and I think, what a valuable, incredible lesson for me. And one of the things that I try to talk to loan officers about is, problems are going to pop up everywhere. You have to say, what hand do I hold in the solution, right? Like, who am I? What could I have done differently? Sometimes it's as simple as you wouldn't be so emotional about this shopper if you had enough leads this month.
Mm.
Sometimes if your pipeline was full and you were closing 10, you wouldn't be so upset about the one that just walked out the door, right? Sometimes um, it's a realization that you set really crappy expectations. You told
Mm.
the client they would going to be great. Oh, you didn't do a disclosure call and the client shopped you after you already disclosed, but you didn't call them and say congratulations on that house. Like, and so I'm constantly asking, and they know it every single time. What did you do? Give me the process on. So sometimes they'll come to me and go, they're shopping, but I met with them face to face, Robyn, and I did this and I did that. They're immediately defending. And I've learned to tailor as a coach and work with them, but you can't fix problems that weren't created by you, but you can fix process and problems that right you have control over, and you can get better. And I hate powerless and I love empowered. And I constantly say, when you blame, well, the husband was a shopper and he didn't get to meet with me. So what's the lesson? Don't ever not have both decision makers in the room, right? Like, don't
Mm.
ever just talk to the wife when the husband's the ultimate decision maker. Well, the parents guided the kid and told him to shop around. What's the decision? Hey, is there anybody helping you along this process, little first time home buyer? Let me get them on the phone as well and in the room so I can influence this and make sure that we're all on the same page and I can guide mom and dad and also show them my knowledge. There's always something that we can control, that we can fix the outcome. And when you do that, it's so much faster than blaming somebody else and wanting to talk about it all day long than just looking at yourself and going, next time I'll do it this way. Right? Like,
Mm.
and that's really what I try in accountability more than anything is how many calls you make, and I just tell everybody, I'm like, listen, you can fill out every form under the sun. Only you know what you're really doing and how impactful it is. And so I want, the biggest thing is look in the mirror. I'll help guide, but you've got to say, I'm proud of myself at the end of the week, or I'm disappointed. I'm gonna do better next time. Right.
Mm.
Like, and those are two things that that's really what accountability. We're not micromanaging. We're not like, are you here at 8 a.m., anything like that. We're very much guiding through each process and saying, hey, say that a little bit differently. It's you go meet with 20 agents and you don't get any leads, and then they don't meet with you a second time. And that, well, I called them to meet and they didn't meet with me the second time, and here's my accountability. Then your first appointment wasn't valuable enough.
Mm.
And these are harsh truths that I'm so grateful people said to me. And I thought, if that's the case, then I can fix it instead of waiting for a better agent, right? Like, if that's the case, I can get more valuable. What a gift.
Well, Robin, early when we first started this, you mentioned something about our mutual friend Todd Screama
Yeah.
seeing something in you that you didn't see in yourself, and somehow you were saying, and he is a brilliant man. I'm not saying this,
Brilliant
but
man.
you were saying, hey, he was brilliant to be able to see that. I'm just going to tell you, anybody that doesn't see that will talk with you for 5 minutes
Oh,
would be
gosh.
absolutely blind. So I give Todd a lot of kudos, and he is a brilliant man. But I'm going to say this was the having seeing what he saw in you was not an example of his brilliance. It's so obvious. You're a fascinating person. I would love to have you on again.
I'd love
But
to be. Yeah.
I literally have like six different topics that I wrote down of follow-up conversations I'd love to have with you. So,
I'd love to do it, Carl.
hey,
Yeah.
if somebody's listening to this and they think, all right, well, what's the next thing for me to do? Hey, Robin, I need what action item should I take to
Hmm.
start moving in a direction of greatness?
Hmm.
What would be that first action item you'd have them do?
It's so simple and it's not sexy, so they're not going to love it, Carl. But I would literally say break your leads down into a daily lead goal that
Mm.
becomes a non-negotiable for you. And don't miss more than 2 days in a row. And certainly don't not make the month, right? Like it's I'm either did my job well or I didn't do it, right? Like and if you make yourself at the root of everything, regardless of how many loans and what's going on, it's really just I have to control tomorrow's money, and that means that I don't miss my lead goal, not in December because it's Christmas, not in right like it's people. Well, it's January. Those are right. We say it all the time in the business. You can have reasons or you can have results, right? You can have excuses or you can have execution. And I would just say that is so many people are like, I get about this. I get. The numbers will set your emotions free. And so track your leads, track your conversion, do it for 90 straight days without fail. And I promise you, you will start to build the business that you want. And if you're hitting your numbers beautifully, then turn the dial up a little bit, right? And that math is pretty much interchangeable, right? You get to close 10 a month, you need about 50, 55 leads in this market with 80% conversion, right? Like but you can't be at 2 right now and go to 50, right? Like that's not, and you got to know your numbers at the very beginning. And until you track, you can't reflect and then choose to turn it into something, right? Like otherwise just feelings. I asked my entire team last Monday on our sales call, I asked my entire team, I said, grade yourself on last week. Grade yourself on last week, team. Everybody's sitting there and I hear a B and a B plus and a D and somebody gave themselves an A, and we get done right at the end of the call. And I said, how many of you guys just graded yourself on feelings, not facts?
Mm.
They're sitting there. I got about 5 phone calls after the call where they came back and said, I got to change my grade. I actually did hit my lead goal last week. I actually am at the right conversion. I actually did see, so I have basic rules, right? You 20 outbound calls every single day. You see three people face to face every single day, like non-negotiable. And you literally make sure you create your leads, right? Those two activities play into your leads and your conversion. And when you do those very simply, you win. And so I asked them to grade themselves. They were all grading on emotion of the moment. Did they have a good Monday morning? Were the kids off to school? Have they already gotten a lead over the weekend? Did a contract fall out? Right? They were grading on emotion of a Monday morning with no logic or true right tracking of the last week. And that's what I would say. This is an emotional business, but you have the ability to control it with tracking and awareness, and data will not only help you, but it'll help somebody who can pinpoint something in your business and not just go off of how you're feeling in the moment, but look at something and say, this is where you're broken, fix this, and you're back on track, right? Like,
Mm.
so that's sorry, a lot of words there, but that's my explanation.
Yeah, I would dare say not one person listening to this would go, she gave too much information. So this was this was this was really great. And I don't know who I have on the next episode yet, but they've got their work cut out for them. I'm just saying. So I guarantee it won't be me solo. So it'll be I'll let somebody else try to match this.
Well,
So
it's been an honor, Carl White, and
yeah.
I'd love to get a lot more time with you. I know what you've done in this industry, and I always say the day that I'm ever done, I hope that I left it better than I found it. And I know for a fact you've done that beautifully for a lot of lives. So,
Well,
what a gift and an honor to be part of your show. So thank you.
well, you're very kind, and obviously we both know that you've already done that. So good for you, my friend. All right. Well, I normally keep these at 30 minutes, but I can now see why Joe Rogan can pull off sometimes 3 and 4 hour episodes because I could for sure do that. But as I sit here today, so it's the day that we're recording this. It's almost noon my time, so almost 9 your time. So thanks again, first of all, for meeting me
Thank
early.
you.
But
Yeah.
we're getting ready to go to. I'm taking the family. We're going to go see, go up to visit Mount Airy, which is about 45 minutes north of me here. And if you've never heard of Mount Airy, that is the town that Andy Griffith grew up in.
Ooh, I love him.
Yeah, and he modeled the show Mayberry off of his hometown and the experiences. And so we go up to this little town and they have Floyd's barbershop and Aunt Bee's
Ah,
pies and
that's
they
amazing.
they built the courthouse and the jail and that you can walk in and see all this stuff. It's a cute little town. So we're going to go up there. The lovely Mrs. White loves to do shopping, so I'm on baby duty,
I
walking up and
listen.
down the street. So that's what we're getting ready to do.
Nothing better, Grandpa. I've got a 2 month old. I'm actually six grandkids deep, so that's a different story
Wow,
for a different day. But
good for you.
yeah, it's a what a beautiful gift, right?
Yeah.
To get your family time. And hey, happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope you enjoy the adventure today, and thank you for having me. It's really been an honor.
Oh, and one last thing. Tell me about the podcast and where do I go to listen to it?
Yeah, it's on all the podcast channels essentially. So it's type in Robyn LaVassaur if you can with the word wild, because I'm sure there's some wild podcasts that you don't want to be
If
listening
I put
to.
in wild, I
So
might see other things too. So okay,
yes, yes.
and
So it's
we'll put
women
a
or men, if you will, in
yeah.
lending, determined to make a difference. I do a mix on there, Carl, I mean, I even do some marriage stuff. I do kids stuff because I think it's all
Mhm.
part of it.
For sure.
And then loans quite a bit and breakdown. They're about 15 to 20 minutes. And I'm going to start guests on my next season. So I can't wait to hopefully get you to return and come see me.
Well, I'd be honored to. So wild, and we'll put a link here in the show notes
Yeah,
for
you
people to be
bet.
able to link up to. And so cool. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you. See you soon.
All right, great stuff. Hey, if you're looking for, one thing I think that really came into play on this episode was they talking about accountability, which I didn't know that was going to be a primary part of this episode. But once it became evident that that's where these loan officers are seeing such great success, it's certainly no surprise to me. So I've mentioned a couple times here, we're really having great results on our accountability with a hug group that we're having, which you can see at alliancenextlevel.com. Alliance which is spelled with two L's, by the way, alliancenextlevel.com. And I'll put a link here in the show notes that accountability and tracking is the secret sauce, right? That is what makes it happen. And some of you might say, some of you already know, hey, if I do this activity, I'll get my leads. And some of you are like, well, how do you get it? How do you get a referred, not a Facebook or Zillow lead or something that doesn't actually convert, but how do you get a referred, a true referred lead that closes, between, one out of six, one out of five, one out of four, so like 16 to 25%. How do you get one of those per day? Because when I get one per day, you get at least, our experience tells us, you get five closings for the month or more. So, yeah, so join me at alliancenextlevel.com and we'll talk to you about, set an appointment, and we'll talk to you about what this accountability with a hug looks like and how do you have accountability and respect in the same time. And we're totally pulling it off and we're seeing great results because of it. And again, for those of you that say, hey, I know what I should be doing, I'm just not doing it. Boy, this group's made for you, I'm telling you. And even those that are going, yeah, but how do you get one referral per day? We're going to walk you through that part too. So there's actually two parts to it. It's number one, how do we get referred leads, like one a day? And Carl, help hold me accountable that I'll do that activity to get that one referral per day. And it's easy. Like I think it is. I think it's really easy. And frankly, I can do it from the comfort, like 95% of it from the comfort of my own home, right? My home office. And so this is not really hard stuff. And once you start doing it and somebody's holding you accountable for it, you find it just gets easier and easier and easier. So anyway, not a hard sell, not a hard pitch here, but if you want to hear more about how we're having this, how the accountability group's doing and the results we're getting from it, we'd love to talk to you. Yeah, it's really great stuff. So, alliancenextlevel.com, alliancenextlevel.com. That's it. So, yeah, be sure to reach out to Robyn, give her a hello, and go check out her podcast. Sounds like a really interesting place to hang out too. So, all right, thanks. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you when you call in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye.